Today, I'll be working on a 2006 Scion XB.
The truth.
Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be fixing the leaking power steering lines that are on this car. I've got the parts in the back of the Scion, so let's get them out really quick.
Is it okay?
I don't need you anymore.
Now let's get this box open and check out the lines.
You better walk out of that door. I don't need you anymore. You better walk out of that door.
Alright, well, definitely looks like we got everything we need. So let's get the front of the car jacked up, and we're going to start taking the old ones off. This is the part number if you want to look it up for yourself. Now I'm going to jack up both sides of the front end just so it gives me a lot of room to work underneath the front of the car here. Now to give myself a bit of light, I'm going to go ahead and open up the hood just so it lets light down through the engine bay. So as you can see, these lines are really wet, and that's why we're replacing them. I was looking, and it looks like it's only coming from like the rubber part of the lines themselves, not the pump, which is up this way, and not where it attaches to the rack back that way. So that's why I just ended up getting the lines themselves and not like replacing the pump or anything else. Now it's just up underneath the car looking around, and the power steering pump is pretty much right back behind here. So just to give myself a bit more access, I'm going to go ahead and take this front passenger side wheel off, and that way it gives me at least more room to work with back in here, and it's not hard to take this thing off anyway. Alright, now we got much better access up in this area, which you can actually see a couple of lines right here. Alright, just because I know I'm going to lose some power steering fluid, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a bucket underneath down here, just to kind of catch anything that may fall. I'll probably have to reposition it here in just a minute too. Alright, so first off, on the top side of the engine here, there's a hose on the back side of this power steering reservoir. Let's see if I can see it for you. There it is. I'm going to be taking this clamp off and removing this hose. That's why I put the bucket down there, because this is going to dump out whatever's left in the reservoir here. You can reach this from the bottom side, but I think it's a lot easier to reach from the top. So I'm going to get a pair of pliers in here, squeeze that, move that little crimp down, and then get this hose off there.
I don't need you anymore. You better walk out of that door. I don't need you anymore. You better walk out of that door.
Well, I did have to adjust my bucket a bit, and it's still dripping past it, so I think I'm going to throw down like a absorbent pad or something too. I'm going to let this finish dripping for a while before I move on. Alright, so the next hose I'm going to take off is right here. So I don't know if it's going to be easier to get this thing from the top side or the bottom side. Both are kind of difficult. I'm going to try the top side first and see if I can't get to it. If I can't, I'm going to have to go from the bottom side, and it looks pretty difficult down there too. I'm just going to reach my arm down through here with a pair of pliers, get on that clamp, and just move it off. And then, yeah, should free up that line. And then when I go underneath, I should be able to pull that line off. That was not fun, but as you can see, I got that clamp to move back. So let's go up underneath and pull that hose off of that plug right there. All right, so just took off the clamp on this line right here. So now I'm gonna get under here, I'm gonna pull this really hard just to pop it off there. There he goes. And I'm constantly having to like shift this thing around to catch up all the drips that keep coming off of this. So just have one handy, or a bunch of pig mats like these. All right, so next there's a bolt right here. It's a 10 millimeter. We're gonna go ahead and take that off, and that's what holds this whole line assembly to the chassis of the car. And there it is. All right, so next is this fitting right here. I know it's kind of hard to see. I gotta figure out what size it is really quick, but I think I'm gonna have to use a crow's foot and kind of come in from this direction to get to it. All right, so I tried my standards and I tried my metrics. The best one that fits is an 18 millimeter. It's a little loose, but it should work. I was hoping maybe because it's a little loose, a standard would have fit better, but it looks like it's going to be an 18. So let's get this guy on an extension and get it on the line that's up here in the wheel well first. All right, so a little update for up in here. I guess the stock one is an 11/16. My new one is an 18 millimeter. So I got an 11/16 on this thing, and it's not budging. I also tried an open-ended 11/16 wrench, like a boxed end wrench kind of thing, and it's still not budging. I just hit it with some cleaner to try and break up some of the rust that's on there. If I can't get it to break free here soon, I'm probably gonna have to cut the line, get like a socket on there and bust it free that way. Or I don't know if I can get heat up in there because it's such a tight spot. It's just, it's a real pain. And these are the days that I hate working on cars, but the job needs to get done. So let me keep trying to do a few different things. I may or may not record it, just because it might be a lot of me cursing and swearing and throwing tools and stuff. And as entertaining as it is, I don't want that to fill up my video. So I'll see what I can do. Whatever I get to break it free, I'll show you guys what I used and go from there.
75 years later.
well, it's come down to this. Went and got my saw. I got a metal blade on it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it as close as I can to the end of that, and then I'm just going to get a socket on there and get it off that way. I keep using wrenches and stuff. I try from the top side. I try from the bottom side. Nothing's budging that. So I think if I can get it on there with a good socket, hit it with an impact, hopefully it'll come off. So yeah, I know this isn't the way you're supposed to do it, but the way you're supposed to do it is not budging for me. So this is an alternative, and it's not the greatest, but it's going to work. Well, my saw's too big to fit, so now I got to come up with another idea. Well, I was able to reach my saw up from the bottom side, like up this way, and be able to cut that line in half. So now I'm going to be able to get like a wrench or something up on here, like a closed-end wrench, and try and get that guy off. This is such a pain in my butt right now, because just getting my saw to this point was hard enough. But while that drips out, I'm going to go ahead and take out the rest of the line down this way and disconnect the one over there. And that way I can get all this stuff out of the way. Alright, so the one on the driver's side that hooks into the steering rack is a 19 millimeter. Again, my new one is I think it's an 18. So just double check yours. I'm guessing the stock size is a 19 on this end. But I'm going to use a 3-inch extension. Hopefully this works with the crow's foot. I can get it on there decent. I just got to make sure I can get my ratchet and it actually turns. So that's a whole nother story. Hopefully this side's a lot easier than that passenger side. Oh, that ain't freaking working. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yeah, kind of hard to look. I did not. Come on! Now I'm stuck.
Well, she put away her toys and put
I want to make sure this fitting's the same size because I am not 100% sure. So I'm going to grab my meter. It's like a little gauge that just kind of dials in and just make sure those are the same size. It does look like this is longer than that one, but it could just be the threads itself. So let me double check because I know this nut size was smaller than that nut size. So yeah. Give me just a minute. All right, these ends did match up. That one's just got more thread on it than this one. That's what I was kind of worried about, but it should be fine. It does have the little O-ring right here. Our kit did come with new O-rings, so I'll slap one on here in just a little bit. But I just wanted to make sure that the rest of the lines looked fine. Obviously, I still have the long line on this one. That one got cut, which it's actually still on the car at the moment. I'm going to get it off here in just a second. But yeah, everything else looks perfectly fine. So the new one should match up perfectly. Well, that was terrible. It's loose now, so I can actually ratchet it and get this thing to start coming off. But what I did was I snaked it up that cut line, and then I put a second wrench on it, like this and broke it free. So now it's at least moving and I can get this thing all the way off of here. But oh my gosh, that was terrible trying to get this line off that was just stuck. So let me finish getting this thing all the way off and then we'll start putting the new one on. Don't forget, we're going to need these clamps off these rubber hoses as well. Alright, so I just put it on the new hose just to get it ready. I'm going to do the same to this one as well. Don't forget, we're going to slap this little O-ring on here as well. Let's go ahead and get this new one on the car. And as per usual, I will link where I got this down below. Alright, so I'm going to snake this up in there. And I'll probably start this line, this hard line right here, just to get kind of things held in place. And then I'm going to put this bolt in right here. Remember, that's a 10mm bolt. But that way, it just kind of holds things in place. And then I can work with this hard line right here, getting it in the power steering pump itself. Alright, so I started the hard line and I pushed the soft line onto the coupler. I just got to get the clamp and scoot it up. And then I've got to go ahead and tighten this guy up. And I'm also going to be running these two lines up, I know it's kind of hard to see, to the actual pump itself and the reservoir where they came off. And then I'll get that one hand tight and I'll get the hose on and then we'll go from there. You can actually see that's where that rubber hose goes right there. So I'll be running that one up here in just a second, but that way we have a reference point of where these lines are supposed to be going. That's where the rubber one goes.
Is the king.
Alright, so now I've got my hard line started, and I've got the soft line pushed up against the reservoir. So now I just got to move the clamp up, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to tighten this guy. And the same for the other end over there. I got to tighten that one and move the clamp up on that one. So when running this hard line, just make sure it runs through this bracket right here that's on the back side of the power steering pump. Had a little helper stop by, so I had to take a break and feed her. Alright, so you can either tighten this line up from down here with like a crow's foot and an extension, or what I'm going to try and do is get it from up top, just kind of come back around this way and get it with a regular wrench. Either way, They both seem kind of difficult, but not impossible. I'm definitely going to try this way first because I got a bit more room to work with up here. Alright, now that the two hard lines are tight and the two rubber lines have their clamps on them, we're going to go ahead and start putting in some more power steering fluid and run it through the system. So we're going to open up our reservoir and pour her in. Once it's full, we're going to go ahead and close up our cap. And I go underneath and double check we don't have any leaks. All right. I've been looking and I don't see any drips coming off of any of the connections or these lines at all. So I think we're doing good so far. Let's go ahead and work some power steering fluid through the system. All right, so now we're going to very carefully get in the car because we're still on jack stands. I don't want to disrupt the car too much. We're going to go ahead and start her up, and then we're going to move the wheel back and forth just to work the power steering through all the lines in the rack. And you want the car on to do this so the power steering pump flows and starts pushing fluid through as well. But just left and right. All the way to the left. We're going to go all the way to the right. It's pretty easy when the tires aren't on the ground either. We'll just do this a couple times, and we'll shut the car back off. Now we're going to go ahead and top off the fluid again because it did drop going through all the lines and everything. And then we're going to go ahead and slap the tire back on, get it back on the ground.
Is the king.
One thing I will say, be careful if you have any power steering fluid on that belt that goes around the power steering pump. It could cause the belt to slip. I'm going to be changing my belts in an upcoming video here soon, so I'm not terribly worried about it, but if you do have some on there, just make sure to clean it off the best you can. Alright, well I hope this video helped. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Hopefully yours goes a lot smoother than mine did, especially with that one line on this side. Yeah, and if it goes just as bad as mine, at least you know there's alternatives you could use. But either way, good luck with your project, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you like any of the background music that was in this video, check out the artist's SoundCloud, link is in the description.